We are still in chapter 7 and we are in section 2, learning about the Pacific Northwest civilizations or cultures. And we are in lesson 2, section 2.2. And today our lesson is about the ancient Pueblo. These are towns. Go ahead, have your textbooks ready or log in to LADA-USD website. And from there, launch Clever. And from Clever, Cengage Learning, which is our National Geographic Learning World History book. And from the left side, you will navigate from Unit 3, Chapter 7, Section 2, Lesson 2. And it is in pages 188 to 189. This chapter's essential question is, in what ways do civilizations adapt to the environments in which they live? And the objective is to explore the ancient Pueblo of the Southwest. Well, basically, the ancient Pueblo adapted to living in an arid Southwest desert. Lesson 2.2, this lesson explains how they built homes from adobe and dwellings underneath cliffs and learned to farm on dry land. It's all about survival. Well, actually, they did not just survive, but they thrived. In these lessons, there are, as early as 1000 BC, the ancient Pueblo began to farm in various parts of the arid Southwest desert. They inhabited the Four Corners region, where present-day Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. Eventually, they began to build villages with permanent structures on high plateaus or in canyons. Some structures were dwellings made of stone and adobe. Now, adobe is a clay used for building. So farm fields surrounded the villages using a technique called dry farming, and the ancient Pueblo grew crops on the dry land using very little water. The three staples of their diet were corn, beans, and squash. They are also skilled artisans who created baskets and pottery that were beautiful yet practical. So they wove lightweight baskets and threaded together different materials to create brightly colored patterns. They used the baskets to carry objects and even to cook by placing hot stones in the basket to heat the food. As they settled in permanent villages, the ancient Pueblo began to create extraordinary pottery, which was heavier but more permanent than, well, the baskets that you are seeing right now. So they molded clay into jars, bowls, and pitchers. Now let's talk about the two popular settlements. The first one is Pueblo Bonito and the second one is Mesa Verde. Pueblo Bonito is located in Chaco Canyon in northern New Mexico. It housed as many as 1,200 people and had more than 600 rooms and kivas, like the one that you are seeing on the left side of your screen. The construction on Pueblo Bonito began around AD 850 and continued for another 200 years. So the ancient Pueblo abandoned Pueblo Bonito sometime during 1200s, and archaeologists are not sure why, but they believe that a severe drought may have forced people to migrate to other parts of the Southwest. Let's take a look at this clip about Pueblo Bonito.
2,000 years ago, the American Southwest was settled by a group of people the Navajo called the Anasazi, or Ancient Ones. They began to build a series of great housing complexes around the 10th century AD. By the middle of the 12th century, the Anasazi were gone, and no one knows why. 400 years later, Spanish settlers would stumble upon one of these desert cities and call it Pueblo Bonito. The Anasazi settled in the present-day states of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. Their ruins show evidence of a people skilled as artisans, architects, builders, and astronomers. Around the year 1000, during Europe's Middle Ages, the Anasazi built 13 towns occupied by about 3,000 people in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico. The most impressive town featured a 5-story apartment complex arranged in a semicircle that housed more than 650 rooms. The complex was already uninhabited when the Spanish found it in the 16th century. They must have been impressed by what they saw to name it Pueblo Bonito, which means beautiful town. At the heart of Pueblo Bonito were these circular structures called kivas. Kivas were gathering places where important tribal ceremonies were held. These same kivas are still used today by Pueblo Indians of Arizona and New Mexico as a direct link to their Anasazi ancestors. This kiva, the largest ever encountered, is Casa Rinconada. It was built around the time Europe's knights set off for the first crusades in the 11th century.
My colleagues and I found the center of this kiva by using this engineer's transit, but you can almost find the center of the kiva by snapping your fingers and listening for the echo. The kiva is so carefully constructed.
In fact, Casa Rinconada is aligned on a nearly perfect north-south axis, allowing the kiva to function as a massive stone calendar. As June 21st, the summer solstice approaches, the sun casts its light through the northeast window of the kiva. Each day, light moves down the western wall towards this large niche, where the Anasazi would have made offerings to the sun, a dominant figure in their daily life and religion. The entire design of Pueblo Bonito suggests both reverence for the sun and a sophisticated understanding of astronomy.
Well, I'm sorry about that sudden cut. Let's talk about the other pueblo, which is the Mesa Verde, which is located in southwestern Colorado. Now, this one is my favorite, Mesa Verde. So these are like dwellings into the sides of the cliffs. They did this to defend themselves from invaders and provide protection from rain and intense sun. This is hardcore. Using advanced architectural skills, they built structures with several stories underneath cliff overhangs. The largest dwelling, Cliff Palace, featured more than 200 rooms and housed about 250 people. In all, the dwellings at Mesa Verde sheltered as many as 5,000 people. It is really beautiful. For some reason, the ancient Pueblo abandoned Mesa Verde by about 1300s. And in the late 1800s, two local ranchers discovered the ruins there. And in 1906, it became a United States national park. And I believe even before the idea or creation of national parks, Mesa Verde was already protected by the government, first in the world. Now let's take a look at this presentation from National Geographic Channel.
Perched on the cliff sides of the Mesa Verde Plateau exist the remnants of prehistoric Pueblo Indian settlements. For nearly 700 years, the ancestral Puebloan culture flourished in what is modern-day southwest Colorado. From the 6th to 12th centuries, elaborate villages were constructed on the mesa tops, canyons, and cliffs. Of the 4,400 archaeological sites that have been identified in the area, one of the more famous is Cliff Palace on Chapin Mesa. Some 24 Native American tribes consider the site to be their ancestral home. Constructed of sandstone and mud mortar, the multi-story Cliff Palace has 150 rooms. Mesa Verde National Park was the first archaeological site in the world to be protected by law in 1906, even before the establishment of the National Park System.
Now think about this question. So Pueblo Bonito, on the one that was presented, and Mesa Verde, demonstrate the building skills of the ancient Pueblo. So at both sides, individual dwellings are connected to each other. Now, why might the ancient Pueblo have used this building strategy? So the question is, at both sides, individual dwellings are connected to each other. And why do you think this strategy was used by the ancient Pueblo? Okay, I might ask that question in our Start Your Engine writing. Okay, let's go to the review and assess questions. For number 1, reading check. How did the ancient Pueblo survive on the harsh land? And number 2, draw conclusions. How did the ancient Pueblo show their skill as artisans? And number 3, compare and contrast. In what ways were Pueblo Bonito and Mesa Verde similar? How were they different? Okay, now go back to our Google Classroom and open the Review and Assess assignment and answer those questions. And those questions are located in the second slide. Don't forget to put your basic information, last name, first name, class period. And our key vocab is kivas. And of course, if you would like to get the full credit, don't forget the title of the lesson and answer the questions correctly in complete sentences using your own word. And that is our lesson for today, Chapter 7, Section 2.2, Ancient Pueblo. Now use this time to answer those questions.